And welcome back. So you can see we're back on our 2012 Ram 1500, which you've also heard me refer to as our Red Ram, or more recently, Candy Apple. And we can see we got our tires back from our tire shop. So we're going to go from a tire and rim setup that looks like this, and these are 17-inch tires. We're going to go back to the factory size of what this was equipped with when it was produced, back to a 20-inch tire. And you can see our choice of tire and rim there. And the tires themselves, or the rims, are looks like they are a Hard Rock branded rim. Tires themselves are Recon Grappler ATs, and they're put out by Nitto. And what had happened is, as I normally do with most of the tires and rims I buy from my local shop here, I literally just go in with the size I'm looking for and the application it'll be used for, and kind of let them tell me what they can get a hold of. And these particular tire combo and rim combo were something they had in stock. Only took them about a week or so to get everything shipped in. It's kind of the at least the way I've been doing things recently with these builds is, just due to supply chain issues, is kind of what I can get a hold of. So now, their first brand of tire, to be honest with you, I went in there looking for, they weren't able to get a hold of it, but they did tell me they were able to get a hold of these Nittos. I've heard good things about other individuals who use Nittos. This will be my first experience with them. And you can see it pairs out quite nicely. It is a bit more aggressive than like a factory, what they would consider an LT tire or a light truck tire. This is a bit more on the more aggressive side than that. You can tell by the tread pattern. So, but it's not overly aggressive, where if you're going down the highway, you're going to get a lot of tire noise that you can typically get into when you get into the really aggressive treads and you get up in, the 30-something inch range and things of that nature. But these are a good pattern, good, nice, as you can see there, all-terrain type tire. So they fairly close in tread pattern and type that we run on our 2500 outside, and it does quite well city and highway driving on the tires it utilizes, which are also another branded type of what they consider a grappler all-terrain. So much like a lot of the rims that we've dealt with on this channel before, it's got a set of these kind of covers that covers up the areas where lug nuts go into. You'll see a lot of these are fake, but you can kind of spot the real one. It's not as shiny as the fake ones are. You can kind of see the color difference there. So 2 of these will be real. That'll get this plastic center cap off, and then allow us to put our lug nuts on. Now, if you look at these from the back, you can see they're multi-lug setup. So they are set up for multiple number of lugs and multiple number of patterns. So there's basically kind of a, one rim that will fit several makes and models of vehicle. So we'll have to get it up onto our lugs, find a matching pattern, and then seat it and put our lug nuts in at that point. The rims did come with a new set of lug nuts that you see there. So we'll be using those in place of our temporary ones that we put on when we were doing the brake service. And the reason why you see 2 bags of lugs is that per the tire shop, when they looked up this make, model, and Ram, it came with apparently 1 of 2 types of lug sizes. So they kind of gave us a bag of both, so we can so that way we can find out which ones we need and use the appropriate ones. So what we're going to do, and you can see that, again, these are the 20-inch tires. In case you're wondering, they are 275 60R20s, and that matches per our door sticker, and I'll show that to you when we get around to the driver's side, that matches our door sticker. So we're just putting this back to the same factory height and width of tires that it originally had come with. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously we're going to get this tire off of here. I'm going to go ahead and get the other tire off the other side again, because we're up on our scissor jack at this point, which makes it a bit nicer because we can do both sides at once. And I'm going to go ahead, as we spoke about earlier in the previous video where we did the brake service, I'm just going to look at getting the emergency brakes, or e-brake, or / parking brake, whichever terminology you use, adjusted. And I'm going to adjust on that for a little bit until I kind of get the inside e-brake pedal where I like it. And normally for me, where I like to have it is once I depress the e-brake pedal down about halfway its travel is kind of where I want it to stop and have the parking brake fully engaged. Usually about halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway, but generally about somewhere in there is kind of what I shoot for. So we'll be doing adjustments on the star screws on the back, as well as in the previous video where we replaced the e-brake cables. We may have to do our main adjustment on our cable to kind of, dictate how far in we need to take it to get the grab we're looking for at the pedal height that we're looking for. Now, I've done a previous video on that on our 2009, so I won't bring you in when I, again, start adjusting these. It's fairly straightforward. I don't want to, bore you with a bunch of duplication, but what I'll do first is I'll adjust the star screw until these just start to drag on each side, and then I'll go in and kind of push the e-brake pedal in by hand and kind of see where its position is, where it's grabbing. And that'll dictate to me whether once it grabs, we'll come out here, we'll see if we can easily turn the tire or not. If we can't, then that to me would dictate that we've got our star screw where we want it, and we just need to adjust our nut over here where all the cables come together to dictate our pedal height from the floor, because it kind of plays into it a little bit. Depending on how far you got your star screws adjusted is also going to kind of play in a little bit into your pedal travel, because it all kind of works together in one big puzzle. So kind of long-winded way of saying we're going to work on the e-brakes, we're going to get them adjusted, and I'll bring you back once we get one of these replacement tires on here. So once we're done, it should have a much more secure footing. It'll be several inches taller than what it sets right now. And more importantly, we'll hopefully soon be off of the temporary spare and the 3 different sizes of mixed up tires on this particular truck. So let me get to working on this and I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So we got our e-brake adjusted. If anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back a couple of turns out of the center adjusting nuts, because the pedal is actually grabbing quite high when the e-brakes are adjusted. When the e-brakes are off, you can hear just a faint bit of dragging, not much at all, but they spin pretty free. When you put the e-brake on, it cinches them down pretty good. So I'm happy where the star screws are adjusted at, and I went ahead and put the rubber caps back in the back. But just like Eric O from South Main Auto said, when you go to adjust these, if you want to tighten or loosen, depending on how you spin the star screw, it's the opposite for the other side. So if one side you got to spin it up to loosen, then the other side you got to spin it down to loosen. But as he would say, pick one direction, do the opposite of what you're thinking, and you still have a 50% chance of getting it wrong. Generally what happens. But you can see we got our 5 lugs on, because again, just to show you that multi-lug pattern, and at least on this particular wheel, on this particular rim, with this particular Dodge truck with its 5-bolt pattern, you can see the ones we're on. You can see these are, they're tapered. It's got like a little taper seat to it, you can see, but you can see these are pushed back a little bit further than these. So it's using the 5 on this case that are offset more to the outside, and hopefully you can kind of see where this one sits in relation to this one. You can see this one is sunken back further in versus that one. Anyway, just to give you an idea, it's just a matter of getting the tire up there and kind of turning the tire a little bit until you find the 5 that line up, and then getting it in place. And it does help if you got somebody to help you with these. Aftermarket rims and tires combo, they're actually 20-inch tires are actually quite heavy, especially with this rim package on it. That's even though they're aluminum, it's pretty thick aluminum. But that's what we're looking at. We're going to go ahead and get the tire put on the other side. Right now, everything's hand tight. We'll wait till we got the weight of the vehicle on it, and we'll get them torqued. And then I'll bring you back and show you the one on the rear driver once we get it. We're going to go ahead and do the fronts, and then I'll bring you back once everything's on. I'm not going to show you each individual tire because it's just the same process over and over again. The fronts are even a little bit easier because we don't have an e-brake to adjust. That being said, I'll bring you back in a minute. And welcome back. So, as promised, just want to show you that, as you can see, we've got our tires on. Show you a quick shot of the front here. Front as well, and I'll try to get as far back as I can, so hopefully you get a better view of what it looks like. Well, in my opinion, much better than the tires that were on it. So we've got it back on. It's originally factory equipped tires, which again are 20 inches. Whoever again had this truck before it ended up at auction had 17s on it, and it was probably done that way for fuel economy and such, especially if they were hauling items, which it looks like judging by the various scratches and stuff in the bed of the truck, it was definitely used to haul. And again, just to remind you, that tire was this 275 60R20s, and I did promise you I would show you the sticker on the inside of the door. Just turn you sideways here. There we go. And you can see that's P275 60R20s for both front and rear. And the spare was a P235 60R17. So we're going to keep the spare that we had on it. We'll put it back underneath the bed of the truck. But just to show you, we went ahead and did that. We went ahead and finished adjusting our E/parking brake. They spin nice and free with the parking brake disengaged, and as soon as we get about halfway down with the e-brake pedal, which is what we were looking for, they lock up pretty nicely and don't move from there. So beautiful. So we finally got our brakes squared away. Now we still need to bleed the brakes, but I need to get more brake fluid. I'm out of brake fluid, so that'll be a job for another day. I probably won't video that one, to be honest with you. I've gotten some other videos on the channel that kind of show that process, as well as there are countless other videos already on the internet that shows a brake bleed. But I'm going to use this just to recap it though. I'm going to use the same process we did when we were bleeding the fluid out of the calipers when we were putting the new pads in. But the only change there is we'll have somebody in the driver's side of the truck pumping up the brake pedal as we routinely crack the bleeders loose, bleeding the air out. And as I said earlier, when we were doing the brake job on this truck, what we'll do is we're going to continuously flush and refill the master cylinder enough times until we can get the majority of the old fluid out of the system. That way we're dealing with some nice fresh stuff. And yes, we still need to put our wheel well liners back in on both sides. Remember, the one on this passenger side, or driver's side here, driver's side rear was damaged. We'll either have to take one off our blue Ram parts truck or just get a new liner in, one of the two, but that's minor. And with the bulk of at least the exterior work that we had planned done for now, what we're going to start doing next, more than likely in the next video, not probably, but more than likely, we will start tearing apart the interior and prepping that to be switched out with the interior in our 2012. To give you a little bit of a heads up, here's the old tires you can see here. I'll give you a little bit of clue what we're going to be doing to the seats we take out of our donor ram. And let me show you a parts number here. A couple of different parts number. There's one part number there, and there's another part number here. What you are looking at is this is the back part of the heated / cooled, but more specifically the heating element / cooling duct for the back of the seat, and that part number there is the heating pad for the bottom one. So we went ahead and picked up new heating pads. I'm waiting for the other back part. I need 2 for the back of the seat. We've got the 2 for the bottoms. The reason why we went ahead and picked these up is that they're getting to be a little bit hard to find, even though this part number is listed as going for all the way up to a 2022 Ram. If you run this part number in My Mopar Parts or various other Mopar websites, you'll see that this part number is actually coming up as discontinued and no longer available. So we managed to find a source for the 4 heating elements that we needed, went ahead and scarfed those up. And the reason why is, if you remember, I don't know if you saw the previous video where we were testing out the D8 scan tool and our launch scan tool on our donor RAM, we noticed that we were getting a resistance fault code on our heating elements for both of our seats. Now, that could still be a bad connection. We need to undo the connector on the seat and ohm it out, but chances are it's going to be a bad heating element, either the heating element that you sit on or the heating element that your back is up against in the seat. Either way, we wanted to get new ones because we're going to be re-skinning the seats we take out of the 2012. The driver's side, as you remember from the previous video, was torn. So we've actually contacted a company we found them on the internet, called The Seat Shop. And what they sell is a complete kit. And that's probably why you've noticed a set of hog ring pliers sitting over here off to the side. They sell a complete kit, both bottoms, for the bottom cushion as well as the back. And they have a thorough install video, which we'll be making an install video of our own and bring you along for that. When we get that kit in, we'll take the seats out of the 2012, get the old material stripped off of them, put some new heating elements in the seats, and then reassemble with some nice fresh material. And I'll cover a little bit more in depth other than why we were doing this. And rather than, it's more than just the tear that you saw in the driver's seat that we want to address. There's a little bit more to that, but I'll wait for that video to get into it. But again, just to show you here, a little bit of tight squeeze. There's a shot of the passenger side. And yes, these tires are a little bit wider, so we're kind of hanging off the side of our lift a little bit, as you can see from the passenger side there. So now that we've got our replacement tires on here, once we get our brakes bled tomorrow, we're going to get it back off the lift, straighten it up a little bit, even it up from left to right, and pull things back on, because we're biased to the right side of our lift a little bit. But that's minor, easily corrected, and it's going to happen. If you got a truck on here like this one that has a pretty wide set of tires on it, these ramps are only so wide across. They only go so far across, and they're non-adjustable. I have the same problem with the 2500. When we pull it on here, the tires end up hanging off both, left and right hand sides as well. So it's pretty minor, but that's where it sits. A little bit of a ramble there towards the end, but wanted to give you a heads up on what's next. Again, as you can see, much better looking from a tire aspect, and as stereotypical, it's trucks tend to sit lower in the front than they do in the back. That's why you kind of see a bigger gap here. Some individual will put a leveling kit on it, and that'll level out the truck. I don't think we'll be doing that with this one, but who knows. Either way, so this is done. E-brake's done. All the videos you saw prior to this one, all the braking hardware has been changed out all the way around. We just need to bleed the brakes, get us more centered on our lift, and then the next video we come back in, we'll be looking at tearing apart the interior of both trucks and then reassembling the interior on this 2012. Because along with the new upholstery material that we got for the seats, what you can see here is new internal carpet. And yes, this does say 2002 to 2010 Dodge Ram 1500 four-door. I did call the company because I did order this for a 2012, and the name of the company I got it from was not Auto Custom Carpets Inc. It was another manufacturer on the web. If I I'll find their name and put them in the link in the description. But what they do is, and I think it's right here if I remember correctly, yeah, it looks like it's Stock Interiors. So I ordered from Stock Interiors, who then in turn ordered from Autumn Custom Carpets. I did call and verify that that wasn't going to be an issue, and they confirmed that that is the right part number even for a 2012. So again, what you see here in the box is new black internal carpeting, which we'll be putting down once we get the interior stripped out of this truck. So as you can hear, we've got a lot more planned for this truck yet. We got a lot more to do yet. I want to try to get the interior wiped out and done before its inspection this June. Provided it passes its inspection this June, then once we get our registration renewed, then that gives us a solid year in which we can really start doing the fun stuff at that point, which is pulling the motor out, reworking it, potentially getting it supercharged, so on and so forth. But again, I don't want to do the heavy duty mechanical items since this is coming up due on its inspection date, because I don't want to be in a situation where I can't get on the road and it's not drivable, and I can't get the registration renewed because it means I have to turn the license plates in and drop insurance, and it becomes a whole debacle at that point. So that's why our original plan was, since we run and drive, we were just going to take care of the maintenance items we needed to. As you can see, it's done. We're going to work on trying to get the interior squared away, upgraded, and finished, and hopefully get all that done before the inspection date again, get the inspection done, and then we can start on the really fun bits. But with that being said, I will let you go, and I'll bring you back for the next one. We just broke the 1,400 subscriber mark. We are actually over 1,400 subscribers at this point. So everybody who has subscribed thus far, thank you. If you have not already subscribed, please consider to do so. It does benefit the channel, and a lot of individuals have asked me what they can do to help with the channel. And for right now, the best thing that you can do is just let the ads play on the channel. And that's all I'm looking for at this point. That would be a huge, huge help. I have looked into like doing the channel memberships and things of that nature, but I don't really want to go that route at this point, especially with the economy being the way that it is currently, and companies announcing job layoffs, things of that nature. I figure for now, just asking individuals to let ads play. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything other than a little bit of time. But that being said, I will let you go, and I'll bring you back for the next one. Thank you much.